Hey guys, .deck TCG here with Mobile Fighters TCG, and today I'm here to bring you some Academy gameplay showing you how you, yes you, can beat the meta with Academy. I've been in the tank on this list for a long time. I have a couple videos out on .deck TCG going over how this deck plays and why I've made the decisions I have. I'll quickly go over it here just to give a kind of deck primer before we get into the gameplay, but we're going to keep it very brief here, starting with the Darrow Ball. It has some applications into Militia and White Base. Also a 4-2 that can link with any Academy, so it just becomes massive, trades with anything that you want it to. The Michaelis, the probably second best Academy link. 4 more command cards in your trash, gets 1/1, just a huge body. Academy loves having huge bodies. Elfrith and Rick Diaz, because you have to play blockers. There's just not really a way around it. We do play Rick Diaz over flat, which we see in the side deck. We do that because there are frequently units that opponents will put out that have 3 health randomly, even if they are much, much bigger. And we like being able to trade with those more consistently. Gundam Pharact as probably the best Academy link. It has the effect during link when it attacks to just Kira Yamato, AP-2 something. Trades incredibly with Lifrith, trades incredibly with any blocker, and coupled with Witches from Earth, this thing becomes a very hard to out menace very quickly. Playing 2 aerial rebuild because we personally like being able to recycle our commands, and we are playing a lot of commands that we would like to have back. And then we're on 4 Gundam Pharact. Breach 5 is incredible. This deck is not super reliant on the Dawn of Fold playstyle while you're trying to place as many EX resources as possible, but it is nice to be able to get those EX resources, but it's mostly here because Breach 5, I mean, it just deals with any base you want it to. We're on 4 Overflowing Affection because we need card draw because we're not on the Elfrith Ore. Unforeseen Incident as redundancy for Witches from Earth and Gundam Pharact. 13 Tactical Testing Sector is still by far the best Academy base. The only other Academy base I would consider is the St. Gabriel Institute, which can sculpt the top of your deck, but giving AP-1 on top of AP-2 on Gundam Pharact just means that you're unforeseeing something every turn while swinging at it for massive off of, say, a link with a Sled of Mercury makes it a 5/6. Witches from Earth, completely unbelievable card. You can exhaust an EX resource to reduce damage by 4, or you can just reduce damage by 2 on any of your Academy cards, and you're on a lot of Academy cards who really want this effect. We are on a new sign. We do just like playing as much draw, as much Graceful Charity as possible. Frequently you'll have errant bases or errant pilots in your hand, or you need whatever. It's just a great way to sculpt your hand. I wouldn't run it at more than 2. We have that 2 here. Alon series for the Pharact links, just completely incredible. The Witch and the Bride has applications into more meta matchups, like into Purple-White Destiny, Sled of Mercury giving flat 2/2 and being able to keep your EX resource around after exhausting it for like a Witches from Earth. Just completely unbelievable. If you want, these down here are all cards you could play depending on your local meta scene or your preferences as a player. I do not like playing them more than what I have here. I think that this list gives you the most coverage into the most matchups, even if you have to sacrifice some consistency into those matchups. But with that, let's check out some games. Our first match is into Purple-White Destiny. Our opening hand looks pretty bad, so we do elect to take a mulligan here. We mulligan into a not much better hand, if we're being quite honest, but our opponent took a mulligan too, so we're just going to have to hope that it was enough. We spend our first couple turns just doing a pass off, trying to draw into anything to do. We finally hit level 3, so we drop our Rick Diaz and pass. They place a resource and pass, and we cannot believe the advantage we're about to get out of this Rick Diaz. We crack the EX base before dropping another Rick Diaz just in case, and passing back to our opponent. They play the Sword Impulse Gundam. They link it immediately with Kira Yamato. We go ahead and we block with our other one. We choose not to use the unforeseen incident here because it wouldn't matter because it gives +3/+0. It's already a 4/2. We go ahead, we make a somewhat greedy play. We go ahead and we pair the Suletta with the Rick DS in order to be able to crack Minerva base. But without much else to do, we just pass again, waiting on being able to play the Pharact. They go ahead, they link a Kyryamato with an Impulse Gundam. We go ahead and we unforeseen so that our Rick DS survives and their Impulse does not. They drop a Blast Impulse, which is fine. We don't do anything about it, we pass. We think for a minute here. We go ahead and we play out the Gundam Pharact in hopes of being able to start swinging for breach on the following turn. We have to consider whether or not we want to trade the Rick DS here for their blocker, and ultimately we do decide to do so. They make the obvious decision. We elect to not witch from Earth or unforeseen. They go ahead, they play out the Ailstrike Gundam in the pool and pass to us. We draw. We have cards in hand for sure. The Graceful Charity is looking pretty tempting. We think about just trading for breach, but we decide to see what we can't find. We do end up just trying to trade the breach, hoping to get an EX resource down, using the unforeseen to survive. We breach 5, we place an EX resource, and then we go ahead and decide to expend our last regular resource and one EX resource in order to play. Or we don't choose to do that, we choose to pass instead of playing the Lefrith. They swing, we decide that we have to use our witches from Earth because we don't want to lose the Pharact right now. They drop down a Force and a Sword Impulse before playing the Will Gem. It deals 3 damage to itself. We go ahead and we see what we can't draw into. We're trying to find any kind of pilot, and we do. We go ahead and we think for a second. We decide ultimately to drop the base because we haven't even lost our EX base yet. We swing knowing that they can't block for their base and one of their shields. That we do give them a pilot, which is horrifying, but there's only so much we can do about it. We go ahead and we link with an Elan Ceres, hoping to make it too big for the pilot to really get over, and then we drop another Elfrith. We go ahead and we Graceful Charity, trying to see what we can't find. We find another Graceful Charity, a Darrowbald, and a Rick DS. We go ahead and we drop the Rick DS and a new sign. They go ahead, they swing to clear our base instead of trying to clear either Pharact. They then swing the Sword Impulse. We just trade for our Elfrith because we don't want to lose the Pharact at any cost. They play the turn A and the Kapul. They go ahead and they link their turn A to trade with our bigger guy. They pilot forces them to bounce our guy with 4 less HP, which was another reason why we played the Elan. We go ahead, we drop Pharact again, and given that they only have 3 bodies on board, we're not super pressed about making any huge plays this turn. We decide to leave the Darrowbald Suletta link in hand, just drop the Pharact that we ripped for turn. They swing 1, they hit a Rick DS, they swing Kapul, they choose not to use its draw effect, they hit the last Gundam Pharact, and then they hit 13 Tactical Testing Sector, which adds to our hand the Michaelis. We draw for turn, it's the Witch and the Bride. They didn't play any blockers last turn though, so we should just be able to swing for game given the link that we have in hand. We go ahead and we pass, we hit the blocker and shields, and then we just kind of have to hope it's not a base here. We go ahead and we decide to use Michaelis because it will be bigger if something goes horribly wrong. We link it with the Suletta, and we go ahead, we try swing for game here. They reveal their last card in hand, and we're just too high level, so we just exhaust the resources and swing for game again. Our second matchup is into Blue-White Banshee Norn. We go ahead, and 3 blockers in hand is really good, so we elect to keep. We're also going second, which helps tremendously. We play the pass-off game for the first couple turns. They drop Zoloat on their turn 2, which is pretty good. We go ahead and we drop our Elfrith in response. They go ahead, they drop another Zoloat, and we drop another Lefrith to answer it. We think about doing something else, but we just decide to pass. They go ahead, they play the Delta Plus, and link it with Amro, which is hugely devastating. It won't matter if we block or not. At the very least, it's only repair 1, which means that a proper link should be able to do it here. We go ahead, we play out the Michaelis, and we link it with Suletta Mercury, hoping to trade for it, but we forget pretty quickly that they have 2 blockers up that can just redirect the damage away from it. And that's exactly what happens. We don't really want to take any damage off this, so we exhaust a Witches from Earth. The Suletta places back the EX resource we just used. But with no other plays, we just go ahead and we pass. They go ahead and clear our EX base. We choose not to switch the attack target. They then drop down a Victory Gundam and link it with Uso Win. And we once again choose not to block because we don't want to lose the Elfrith. Or we do choose to block actually, because it doesn't have repair. Then they pass back to us. We're not looking super great here. We're not really drawing what we need to see for this matchup. We go ahead, we try to swing again. They once again block. We choose to... We think on the Witches from Earth here, how much we really want Michaelis to stay up, but we ultimately just decide to let the damage through because we're already suspended anyway. We drop a Rick Diaz and a Lefrith in hopes of just stopping whatever damage is about to come in, hoping that the 3 damage will go through onto the 5 HP that's already damaged to. They do swing it. We do get to trade it with Rick Diaz, which is the most ideal case here. They drop a Victory Gundam. They suspend the parts in order to be able to swing at my Lefrith. We think on the Witch and the Bride, and we do decide to do it because they are tapped out. They have to pass back to us. We have to think here because we're not looking super hot. Their 7 cards in hand should show what a dominant position that they're in. We go ahead and we drop a Pharact as anything to do. We decide to swing at their parts, hoping to stop any more suspending shenanigans for a minute, and it also gets us an EX resource. But with not much else to do, we just have to pass and hope for the best. They go ahead, they swing their 3-2 at us. We're not quite ready. We do decide to block it because it's only a 3-2, so the Elfrith is good here. Unfortunately, its destruction does place another parts token. They decide to swing into the Elfrith for breach 3, hitting one of our shields. They drop Gundam, they link it with an armor array. They swing at shields as opposed to anything else, hitting a Pharact in life before passing back to us. We draw an Lanceros, which is probably one of the better rips we could have hit. But we really have to think how we want to do this here. We ultimately decide first to try to clear the Gundam, I believe, for an extra EX resource. Witches from Earth won't do anything here, so we decide to do nothing about it. trading and placing an EX resource along the way. We then decide to swing the green Pharact using and exhausting an EX resource so that we take no damage and we breach 5. We then decide that we have to start trying to put some pressure out, so we drop the Pharact and we link it with an Along Ceres. Swinging at their life, we choose to give the parts -2. It doesn't really matter because they don't have a blocker up or a suspended unit, and we just have to pass on that. They swing at the Pharact. It is 4 damage, so it does go through, and then they drop the Banshee Norn Destroy mode, which is just devastating. We can't really do anything about it, so we just try and swing at life, hoping to accomplish anything. But we then drop the aerial rebuild, hoping to just be able to keep damage on board through the next turn. They swing Banshee Norn, AP -1 our board, and hit life. They go ahead and drop a V-Dash Gundam and link it so that they can get breach 3 through our guy. Then they blow up into our life. They drop a Show of Resolve. They link the Banshee Norn. They suspend our guy. They banish 3 from grave to swing again. And with no board and no cards, we're really not looking super hot. We drop the Rick DS as our only play, but with 5 cards in hand and 4 units on board, there's just not really anything we can do. We go ahead, we decide that it won't train to Banshee Norn, so we let it attack. We Witch and the Bride away the only target, but just so that they have to spend resources this turn. But it's looking really, really bleak. As they drop another Banshee Norn and relink, we know that's pretty much just over. We do hit the testing sector, which is nice, but probably not good enough. They suspend our guy, unsuspend the Banshee Norn, and just swing into it, dealing 1 on their way, but drawing a pilot is the end of the game here. We pass back to our opponent, who's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from lethal. And that's the game. Our last match is into Red-White Zeong. Our first hand looks really bad, so we mulligan it away, and this hand is strange. If we hit a lot of pilots off the top, it's going to be really good, having 3 Pharacts down, but we're just playing the passing game for a minute. They drop a Lefrith, and we go ahead and we respond in kind, dropping a Lefrith and passing back. They try and swing it. We don't really want the 2 damage on the base, so we put it on Lefrith. They drop a Kshatriya and use their EX resource to drop a second Kshatriya for passing back to us. We aren't at level 5 yet. We would really rather be using Pharact with Sled and Mercury, but we do need to start entering the board, so we decide to just link with a Sophie Pallone in order to free clear the Lefrith. They go ahead, they swing at our base. We decide not to block this one so that we can block the one that swings at life. But we ultimately decide not to, hoping to get a pilot out of life for the other Pharax. We don't. They drop their right guy that pings 1 and another Lefrith. We go ahead and we drop a Pharact, and we link it with a Sled of Mercury, turning it into a monster 5/6. We swing the first Pharact, giving AP -2 to our target, pinging 1. He chooses not to block with his Elfrith here. We swing at the other one, doing the same thing, and again, no block with Elfrith. So we decide to set on our Elfrith and pass back. They swing at life. We don't really want to trade it. We do hit the unforeseen out of life, which makes it so that their Elfrith can't swing in. So they drop another Elfrith and another with the red one. Pass back. We are sitting really pretty on even more Pharax. We swing in, we give it AP -2. It pings our Elfrith. We go ahead and we swing at life, hoping to make one of their Elfriths block. We AP -2 one, and they block the one that actually has any damage on it. We drop the third Pharact before doing the same thing. AP -2, and then they block their Elfrith again, dealing no damage to our Pharact. We go ahead and we drop our Rigdia so that we can trade with their red unit until they put down the link on it. And then they ping out our Elfrith, trying to swing into one of our Pharacts. We block with a Rigdia so that we can make a better trade with our Pharacts later. We swing our 1 damage 1 in, we give AP -2, so we only take 2 back, putting us at 4-3. The unit pings us 1, putting us at 4-1. Nothing, give AP -2, so we clear their base, and then we attack again. They are getting very close to having the requisite level for the Neo Zeong, so we really need to start digging for more things to do here. We overflowing into Pharact Rigdius, and given we don't have that many options in trash, we decide to toss away the aerial rebuild, the Graceful Charity into Pharact, which is from Earth Tactical Testing Sector. Given the number of units we have on Pharacts we have on board already, we decide to drop the other white Pharact and the other green Pharact, playing Testing Sector just in case, grabbing off the top a Elfrith, which is incredible, and passing back after playing it. They play Kshatriya, they don't have a link in hand, which is really good news for us. We go ahead and we swing Pharact, and swing Pharact. So many buttons to press. Hitting a Neo Zeong out of life, and we swing the third one. Hitting a flat out of life. We choose to swing the Elfrith, knowing that we have a Witch and the Bride in hand to protect the base if we really want it. But other than that, we just drop a Pharact and a Rigdius and dare them to do anything. They ping out one of the Pharacts, they try swinging into Elfrith, dealing 2 damage to one of our Pharacts on the way. We decide that it's not worth trying to do anything else about it. We can swing the Rigdius into it if nothing else. They ping out the other Pharact, but it's just too late for them. We play Overflowing, just trying to find another link unit, and we do. We go ahead and we are trying to decide if we want the link unit. We ultimately decide no, we just want to pair the Alon Ceres and Witch and the Bride away in case they try and block. We hit a Pilot out of life with no burst effect. We Witch and the Bride away the blocker, even though we didn't have to, and we swing for game. Alright, we're back with the list, and as you can see from those games, this deck does play fairly well into most of the field. I think that this deck does struggle quite a bit into decks which can put out bigger buys than it. The Banshee Norn, for example, deck that we played against was able to put out bodies that Academy didn't have answers to, because Academy wants to be the biggest units on the board. Additionally, I think that this deck is very hard to pilot. You have to know your matchups really well. In that red game, for instance, if they had been able to drop a Neo Zeong on the following turn before we were able to close out the game, we probably would have lost that game. So you really, really have to know your matchups, and you have to know your win conditions into every deck. But all in all, I think that we have found a list for Academy which plays really, really well into the current metagame. I'm excited to be playing this in perpetuity, probably until we see what the new Phoenix Gundam card does. And yeah, if you want a more in-depth analysis of why we made the decisions for this deck, you can go check out that video on my channel, .decktcg. But yeah, if you like the video, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. And yeah, catch you later.